All right. Tell me when you're good, buddy.
Technology is functioning.
Yep.
Yeah, we're good.
Good.
Welcome everybody to episode 170 of the You Can't Comp This NBA Trading Card Podcast. We are your host, Adam, Amy, and Russell Gibson. I'm no longer flying solo, and very relieved to be doing so. Welcome back, Russell.
Thanks, man. It's good to be back. I had an awesome trip. So, yeah, shout out to Drew and Lee and his brother. And I am very glad to be home, but I'm also very sad missing Bali. I'm not going to lie to you, mate. It's like paradise over there. And just really quickly touching about the podcast last week, you did a great job.
I felt like a fish out of water. It's difficult unless I discover like multiple personalities. It's really hard to bounce things off.
I don't think people realize how hard it is to actually podcast by yourself. So the classic example is Zach Lowe.
Yeah.
At the start of every podcast, he does like a single dialogue conversation, and they are actually amazing when you actually sit down and listen to them. And the other guy is Ryan Rosillo. He can just talk to himself for 2 hours straight. He doesn't care. He's just like
keeps going. Yeah,
I don't really want to podcast with someone else. It just seems like he just does his thing. But yeah, no, I think people probably, it's one of those things you don't realize how difficult it is until you give it a go. Because
yeah,
this is a couple of years ago now. You missed. I can't remember what happened. You were on holidays or something like that. I did it myself. My recollection was I was pausing it and editing it. It took me like 2 hours to do an hour. It was just ridiculous.
It feels, was the most, yeah.
It was painstaking.
Yeah.
So.
Next time, worst case scenario, I'm like calling my mother and just saying, "Mum, I'm popping you on loudspeaker. We're going to talk about basketball cards." It's
perfect.
Yeah, or just randomly call somebody. That could be
just
turn into a completely different show.
Yeah,
I'm sure everybody on YouTube watching would lap that up. It'd be interesting. Speaking of which, we are live as per usual on YouTube. Make sure for all those that are listening on the radio station tune in via other means. Head over across to YouTube. Give us a like and a subscribe. Make sure the algorithm knows we exist. It'd be great to have everyone's support there on YouTube. We do go live.
Yep.
Every week, and the backlog, the back catalogue of all the episodes. So if you do want to go back and listen to a random episode with a random guest, feel free to jump onto the YouTube and check it out.
So our handle is the same across everything. So at You Can't Comp This is YouTube, at You Can't Comp This for Instagram, at You Can't Comp This for Twitter. Facebook's a bit different, but basically if you search for You Can't Comp This, you will find us on Facebook too. So where else are we at? TikTok?
TikTok, Twitter or X, Instagram.
Yeah.
We're all at You Can't Comp This. And YouTube, of course. Yeah. Very easy to find.
That's enough spruiking of our socials, isn't it, Ad?
It is. I mean, people can find it, I'm sure.
All right. There's been a lot going on in the NBA, but I think the most important story for me this week was the Brandon Ingram Anthony Simon story. So let's just get straight to it. This is, in my mind,
the most important story.
The most delicious story that happened
delicious,
in NBA,
fair.
In NBA law this week. So basically it was the Portland Trailblazers versus the New Orleans Pelicans. It was in Portland.
Yeah.
It was going down to the final 5 seconds of the game. The Pelicans had the ball. Somehow Simons got switched on to Ingram. Ingram backs him down and just knocks down this nice little jump shot, almost in the paint, just maybe one step out of it. Going back to his bench, all of his teammates are congratulating him, and then Herb Jones comes off the bench and says to him, "Tell her who's better." So for the context of this, what you need to understand is both of these men have a child with, excuse my pronunciation, you're going to need to help me on this one, Ad.
Probably.
Aaliyah, spelt Aleeeyah. Aaliyah?
See, I went
Aaliyah?
Ilea. Or Aaliyah.
Okay, sure. I'll go with that. Petty.
Aaliyah.
So if you'd like to follow this young lady, she's also a Instagram model / influencer.
Influencer.
Whatever that these people do, I don't really know what their jobs are, but whatever she's doing.
She doesn't look like a basketballer, I can tell you that.
She's a basketballer wag. I think that's the phrase, isn't it?
Yeah.
Whatever she's doing, she's winning in life. So I say hats off to you, lady. It's a pretty good Instagram to follow.
Yeah.
If you're a betting man, it also put Ingram over his points line for the night, so he needed plus over 18.5. So there was a lot of happy people.
A lot of winning in the Ingram camp, I think.
Yeah.
Yes.
And look, I think, in true you can't comp this law, what we should do now is talk about some card value. So Brandon Ingram, silver PSA 10, population 203. If you look at this in 1 year, he's down a lot. He's down 75%. So this has started around the $200 mark. It's down to $50 at the moment. Like, there's a lot of stuff like this at the moment. I feel like this is what we're going to be talking about a lot this season is, how much stuff is down in the last 12 months, how much cards are down in the last 2 years. So I feel like this is almost...
Is 12 months the right gauge, though? Is it one of those, do we start looking at 6 months and 3 months, like to look at, have things stabled off, is what I'm getting at?
I think you can look at... I think it's good to look at all of it, to be honest with you, man. I think, so for example, if you go back 2 years, that was a $300 card.
Oh, wow.
And so...
Okay. Yeah.
2023 is technically post-COVID.
It is. Well, 2021, 22 is where things were.
So in COVID, it was nearly 2,500. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So actually, look, the pop on that's not outrageous. And then if we compare that to Simon's, I'm pretty sure Simon's is going to have a high pop on his.
Yeah. I mean, it's still down almost 50% over the last 6 months. So.
Ingram?
Yeah.
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 So just so I don't get confused, we're moving on to Simon's now. So the population on this is a lot bigger. It's 1,429.
Yeah.
All-time high on that was 323. So obviously he didn't have like the massive spike that he had.
Well, he's posted the COVID. He didn't get the COVID crazy spike, did he?
Yeah, I mean, when Ingram came out, he went to the Lakers. He was a top draft pick. Where Simons was more sort of, coming off the bench for the Blazers. He was more of a project type thing. So it's not a true... But still, I think in this context, it's a beautiful comp, to be honest. So it's sold at $36 for Simons. Yeah.
I think this is a really good card versus card option.
When you average out the $50 versus the $36, that's also probably about where their contracts are like proportionally based, and also the child support payments. So this is another like fantastic comp that's happening here too.
I'll take the Ingram every day of the week for $50.
Yeah, that's quite nice, isn't it?
I'll take that's good value, I think. Pop count at 200. Brandon Ingram's not that bad a player. I think $50 is probably underselling him.
Yeah, and look, I think that's fine, but I think it's just also a really interesting observation. I think what's happening in the hobby at the moment, where you can sort of my gut feeling is that there is a lot of people jumping out at the moment, and so
there is a lot of.
I actually wonder if kind of the smart people at the moment are snapping up just like very sort of heavy purchases. For sure. Yeah, that's right. Alrighty, that's enough. I've had my fun. Let's move on to the next thing, which is also very serious. Okay, this is a very serious podcast. We need to talk about.
There's no need to make any funny faces about it.
No jokes. But we did have the Dwayne Wade reveal of his statue at the Miami Heat arena. I mean, there's been so many memes around this. We were talking about this off air, like our favorite memes. I think my favorite one was the Shining one, where it's got his face coming through the door that he's like chopped down with the axe. That was pretty delicious.
My favorite would be the Star Wars, the Han Solo in carbonite.
Yeah,
just the. Given that's another metal finish, it's probably most appropriate. And then there was a Thanos one, but.
I think we should have this as the thumbnail for this week's podcast, actually, and just zoom it right in. Yeah.
He's not the worst statue head of all time, but he's bloody close.
So when I first saw this, I actually thought it was like a piss take. I'm like, this can't be real. This can't be right. And when I looked into it further, so I actually found footage of Wade looking at the prototype. So before it was turned into metal, they carve out, like a clay one underneath it, and whatever they do, I don't know what the process is, but they had a prototype. He looked at it and he okayed it. So, there's a part of me that's kind of like, well, If you saw it and you knew what they were going to do to you, and you said yes, and you didn't give them, the appropriate feedback, as far as I'm concerned, this is on you, mate. So
there's no part of me that thinks that is an accurate representation of Dwayne
So
Wade.
again, I heard him say this in an interview. He basically said that it's an artistic interpretation of a moment in time, and that part of it, why it looks a bit weird, is because of the way that they did his beard. So that sort of makes his face look a bit like wonky.
There's it's nothing about the way his beard looks. There's other things in there, like his eyes. That's the other meme. It's the Morpheus one from the
and now we're back on memes. The other one was when he's throwing that lob to LeBron. Someone's photoshopped.
That's right, with his photo in there. That's, oh my goodness.
And actually, when you see it from the angle like that, it kind of makes sense what he's talking about when it comes to the beard. So
I don't know. It's not just the beard. It's just, I don't know. He's not been bronzed very well.
Yeah, it's a tricky one.
Tough. Oh well.
Anyway, what we are going to do though is, he did, and I think he deserves a statue too. By the way, like I think what he did for that Miami team was legit. It is a shame that he wasn't always with the Heat, that he left for the Bulls. I think that's like
tainted his career a little bit.
Oh, it's a tiny grain of sand in a big beach in terms of his career, but I think
true.
Romantically for me, also with the Heat and the Heat culture, it was a bit of a shame that he left for the Bulls. But
this is yeah. Would have been nice to be a one team guy.
Yeah, like Dirk or LeBron, or
Kobe.
Not LeBron. Yeah. 2003 Topps Chrome Dwayne Wade, number 115, PSA 10.
Okay.
So this is the refractor, if I didn't say that before. Population on this is 160. So this is in the good old days where this is selling at the moment for 1,550. I like this a lot. It's a lot of money, but at the same time, I love the population. I love his pedigree, and I do think moving forward he has that collectability in terms of him being culturally relevant still. So I think that's going to be
interesting that over the last purchase. Year he's actually up 10%.
Yeah.
So
yeah. If you zoom out a bit, Dad, though, he's actually down 20% over 2 years because he once sold for 2,700. Oh man!
Bike.
And if you go to all time, this sold for 5,600 at one point. So you can make a very strong argument that 1,500.
Well, I was going to say this. If you go right out to the all-time numbers during the COVID spike, this did sell at one point for $16,500.
Oh yeah, I missed that. Sorry, mate. I had the mouse in the wrong dot space. It does that sometimes, actually.
But that, aside from that, the 2021 to 2022, like that anomaly, there's still a couple of interesting spikes. But I mean, I don't know, 1,500 is that a good price for a D Wade rookie?
I think that's very reasonable. Yeah. I think when if you say, well, Luka is $1,000 at the moment, and you say a Wade is that, but then you think about the pop count, like.
Well, looking at the pop count at the very least as well, looking at his resume, I think it's a very good price.
Yep. Alrighty, Ad. So this next segment is a kudos to you because it's just too hard doing it by yourself. So we've got your card versus card from last week. We've got Anthony Edwards versus LeBron James. So the Edwards is 25,800. That's the black gold.
Yes. Well, I put it to the listeners because I didn't have anyone to argue with.
Yeah, that's hard. That's tough, man. And then you got the LeBron black 1 of 1 there. Look, I actually think this is a really tough one to choose, and I'm actually going to keep this really simple for me. I'm going to go with the Edwards just because it's the rookie card. I was
in two minds about it.
Yeah, I would get this reslabbed, and then I would send it off to PSA. In terms of the LeBron 9.5, if you make the argument you're going to purchase that, I've got no problems with that, to be perfectly honest with you. I think either of these would be good, but if you really had to twist my arm, I'm just going for the Edwards because it's a rookie card. I think at the end of the day, that's what's more important to my soul, I suppose.
Yeah. No, I definitely think the rookie card is a defining factor here and really makes it an interesting bit of competition.
Yeah.
Oh, the fact that it's the championship.
Yeah.
LeBron, do you know what I mean?
It's a great comp, man. Honestly, you did a good job picking that one up.
Oh, Card Ladder did the job here, but
this
after
is true.
seeing it, I thought, well, it was opening night, right? It was Wolves versus Lakers.
Yeah.
So, I mean, part of me wants to say LeBron, but I think I agree with you, the Edwards.
Yeah.
That's based on the trajectory I think Edwards is headed on.
Yeah.
There are some disagreement. Well, there's an agreement and a disagreement. We've got a couple of comments.
Yeah, running through them, man.
Matthew Hull, Edwards for now. I'm a LeBron hater, so I have no interest in him. However, good value to hold for his retirement.
I don't actually truly understand LeBron haters.
Yeah,
like I get it. Like, he's a bit of, he definitely appreciates himself a lot. I get that, but at the same time, he's not a bad guy. He's not a P Diddy. It's like,
yeah, true. But look at his body of work. I think is
and the contributions to the community,
what he's done for the game, what he's done for the he's and then
he's leaving this world in a better place. Let's just put it that way.
Brad Van Delft, LBJ, LBJ once he retires, that gets to a value Ant won't be able to match. It's a 1-of-1 LeBron. You think about imagine a 1-of-1 Kobe, a 1-of-1 MJ. Like, yeah, it probably is going to go up quite a ways post retirement.
Yeah. All right, this next one is also really good. So this is the Black True 1-of-1 Jalen Brunson autograph. They've just put this in authentic, so it's in a slab. Who knows what the grade is? You would assume that it's not well graded, so let's call it a 6, just for argument's sake, versus the Jason Tatum mosaic gold, so that'll be numbered to 10, gem mint 10, auto 10, so it doesn't get any better than that. Look, this one for me is actually, again, really tough because I think having a 1-of-1 of Jalen Brunson is a really good idea, but I think if you sort of zoom out in terms of who's going to be more important in 10 years, I think Jason Tatum is going to be more important. I also really love mosaic, so I have an incredibly soft spot for that. In addition to the 10-10, I'm going to go with the Tatum here just for that. And I am going to be talking more about Tatum in my top 10 tonight. So, please.
I'm not going to say Brunson. I definitely, I think it's Tatum for sure.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think it's Tatum.
I don't think it's that clear cut though, man. I think a 1-of-1 of Brunson is like damn good, Is the I don't know. I just think it's I think it's Tatum. That's fine. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the Brunson's a rookie. Is it a rookie? Yeah. They're both. Are they both?
Yeah, that's rookie. Yeah, that's his rookie year.
Yeah. So they're both rookie year. I mean, Card Ladder reckons the Brunson's worth 12K and the Tatum's worth 6.5. But I don't know. Number to 10, I think Tatum's got the more decorated career.
Yeah.
And that is why I'm on board with Tatum.
Yeah.
Literally. I've got some comments on it though. This got way more comments. Ryan Miller, Mavs fan, so Brunson. If I was neutral though, it's Tatum easily. 1-of-1s are special, but there's a huge gap between these two, talent and career-wise.
Yeah.
That's an interesting take, given Brunson's been thrust into the spotlight this season and last season. Matthew Hull, right now, still Tatum. Game 1 of the season tells the tale of a man of the team versus the team of the man, and he ain't up for it, Brunson, that is. Interesting. Game 1 of the season. It's a small sample size of data to go on there, but...
Yeah.
Brad Van Delft, Tatum, he won a chip.
Haters gonna hate, right?
Yeah, won a chip for the team that drafted him and is still with them. Brunson's great, but if he wins one, it won't be with the Mavs, so loses a bit of value here. Game 1 was a great example of who steps up to Tatum bald.
Yep.
Mark Cahill, I'm going to go with Tatum on this. Boston has a bigger fan base than Dallas. Equals more buyers. Yep. Anthony Milne, Tatum will be the
He's got a lot of traction, Ad.
Yeah, but he will be MVP in the next 2 years. Have to agree that Tatum is the more likely MVP candidate out of these two. And finally, George Gialouris.
Yep, sounds good.
Good. Brunson went to a terrible franchise and turned it about, bringing New York basketball back, and he's only getting started. Tatum, well, not much to say about Tatum, and he's bland and can be last year's champion. Doesn't define him. It was a cakewalk, and half the league was injured.
Come on. Like, did you actually watch the games, or did you just read the box scores? Like...
Look, I have to admit, I don't mind it when the Celtics cop flack. So, I don't agree, but I do like seeing the Celtics cop it a little bit. I'm on Tatum because no.
All right, let's go to our first commercial break, and then we'll come back with my top 10 so far. US Sports Cards Australia, thank you so much for your huge pledge. You're going to be with us, I think, for at least the next 12 months. My maths is not fantastic, but the cash will work out somewhere in that sort of 12-month range. So, guys at US Sports Cards Australia, thank you so much for everything you do for us. They run sports breaks, they do pop culture, they do ice hockey, NFL, MLB, NBA. They sell singles. The thing that Ross is really getting to at the moment, though, is his selling of singles. So go to ussportscardsaustralia.com.au, click on the 3 noodles, and then you can go down to the singles category. That will take you to Ross's page, where basically what the service he's providing is a consignment service. So you send all of your cards to Ross, then you can let him take care of all the work. He'll list the cards, he'll sell them, he'll post them out to people, and then just basically put the money back into your account. Now, I was talking to Ross this week on the phone. He's got 5,000 cards uploaded already. He's got another 3,000 cards in preparation to be put up. So he's definitely growing out this little project that he's working on. When I say little, he's hoping it's going to grow into something much bigger. Reach out to him on the website if you'd like to submit your cards to get them up, because he's definitely taking more consignments as we speak. So thank you so much, US Sports Cards Australia. Alrighty, Ad, we are back. Let's just get straight into it.
All right, what's next on the...
And now, for our next segment, we have the top 10 cards of the week.
Every time you play that, I want to play NBA Jam.
Oh, me too, man. The budget on our show is just out of this world. Like, that's something out of the Lord of the Rings trilogy when it comes to
it's true.
Expenditure on sound effects and stuff.
Get a Grammy soon for music on a radio show.
Alrighty, I got to tell you, in my head, I was going to go number 1 was Banchero. Then the next thing I wake up the other day and he's got a torn labrum or something like this. So
no.
Banchero is out. So I had to re-pivot. Number 1 is Joshua Giddey. I probably should have started at 10 and worked to 1, but let's just get straight to it.
Sounds like you are starting at 10. Josh Giddey.
Nah, I'm putting him at number 1.
I'll
get to it. I'll get to it in a second. So this is just one game he had the other day. 12 points, 13 rebounds, 8 assists, 1 steal, 1 block, 2 of 4 from 3. Mm-hmm. And just watching the Bulls, they just look good at the moment. It's so weird.
Competitive or good?
Good. They look good. Like, I think they're a good league pass team. And the other funny observation I had about the Bulls, it's like, I feel like this team is, I made that sort of observation of like, if you're going to flip cards, buy cards that you like, because you might get stuck with them. I feel like if you think about the whole Bulls roster, who's going to take these players away in trades? No one wants Vucevic. No one's going to want Pat Williams at that money. Yeah. No one wants Zach LaVine. They've been trying to unload this dude for like 12 months. Giddey was actually a giveaway. Like, the Thunder was just like, will you please take this, numbskull off our hands? Yeah. No one's taking Kobe. Like, no one wants a small, undersized point guard that can't defend. But then they're all kind of stuck on this same team together, but now they're kind of playing well. Like, I like it. And I think Giddey has been instrumental for them. I think he's played really well. And I'm going to go further than this. I think that the Bulls won the trade. So Josh Giddey this year so far, 15.4 points per game, 8.4 rebounds, 5.8 assists. I love all those numbers. Like, that's my type of NBA player just across the board. 48% from field goal, 59 from 3. That will flatten out. Alex Caruso, on the other hand, 1.3 points per game, 3 rebounds, 2.3 assists, 13% from the field, and 11% from free. Obviously, again, very small sample size, but I think that is important to talk about. Now, the reason why I put him at number one is because of his price. He is bottomed out, and this is something that has genuinely taken me by surprise because there's nothing particularly happened to him. So the last sold price was $25.
$25.
Yeah, and that could be a single sale that's wrong, or it could
Yeah.
be what's happening in the moment. So the two sales before that were 92 and 79. So let's just kind of average those three out. Let's call it 60 or $70, but still.
They're still hovering around the 50 mark 6 months ago. I don't see that 25 as being a legit for a PSA 10. I don't.
Well, it's on Card Ladder though. Like their data, I sort of consider their
Pretty
data to be
solid,
quite clean. Yeah. So I don't know that. Anyway, so that's my number one. Number two, this is from actually one of our listeners, Jared Begg. Now, I looked at the timestamps on this because there's been a bit of online chatter on this, so I'm not going to go into this too much, but it's around the Menendez brother. And what Jared pointed out was actually that it's a Jordan card with the Menendez brothers in the back of it. So my observation on this is this is 20 times more collectible than the Mark Jackson. I've never actually truly understood.
Well, this was my
Jackson
question last week. Like when I was speaking about it, I'm like, does the fact that it's a Jordan make it more collectible? And I think I agree. Yes, it does.
Yes, it does. 100%. People.
All of the data that
Jordan is liquid, and people collect Jordan.
All right. So if it's selling anywhere from 60 to 180 US for a raw version of this card, what is PSA 10 worth?
Well, that's right. So that's the other play here, is because looking into this, there's not much data at all.
No.
Which makes me think that this card is only a recent discovery of the Menendez brothers in the background.
Yeah. I think.
So Jared, well done, mate. You actually beat Eric White back to this small story. So
nice.
I think it's really cool. And obviously sports card nonsense, beat us to the punch, but that's totally fine. We're not going to go into it too much, but that's number 2 on my list. Number 3 is Trey Mann. So hear me out on this one. Trey Mann was essentially a discard from the Thunder. And I think the issue with the Thunder, what I have in terms of collecting these guys, is they're so loaded, it's hard for their players to get a game. Yeah. So Trey Mann is the exact thing of this. He couldn't even make their roster. He's scored 55 points coming off the bench so far this season. Second in the league to Buddy Hield at number 1 with 57 points. So,
that's impressive.
I think in terms of, and we talked about this, more than once, opportunity, fit, situation, all that stuff needs to work out for these NBA players. And, I'm just so happy for Trey Mann. My next one at number 4 is Dyson Daniels. Yeah. Look, I love Dyson Daniels for so many different reasons, but I think my observation, I've probably watched more Hawks this year than I'd probably care to admit. And my observation of the Hawks is that they've basically just given the keys to Trae Young. So if this team succeeds, it's going to be because of Trae Young. If they fail, it's basically going to be because of Trae Young. And I really do think the Dyson Daniels fit is good. Yes, he has had some injury problems already this year, but I think when he was on the court, it looked really, really good. And the fit in my head makes so much sense.
Yeah.
So just really quickly, he's not on Card Ladder, so this is just from 130 Point. Yep. A silver rookie sold for $7.14. A green variation Contenders on-card autograph from Optic Contenders, I should say. That's the important point there, for 26 USD. And then there's the Photon Prism, which comes out of Optic with a really weird-looking head proportion on that. But that's actually not how the card looks. It's $4 on that one there. So I think all of those are just really good buys. I've got no problems with those at all. And I think Dyson Daniels coming into the league was a project, and we all knew that. So I think this is his part of his normal sort of trajectory. So this is right on point for him. Yeah. Number 5, I've got Jason Tatum, and I deliberately put him at 5. And this is my reason for this. We talk a lot about on and off the show about future value or undervalued.
Yep.
I think what we should do is from now on use Jason Tatum as a measuring stick for the league, because his price is very reasonable. I don't think it's too high. I don't think it's too low. $760 was his last sold. In terms of population, yes, it is high. It's at 900, but it's also not Wemby high, or it's not Luka high.
Yeah, you're right.
And so then you think about his pedigree and his resume. Well, then he's got one championship.
Mm-hmm.
He was the MVP last year. I don't care what anyone says about this. I'm going to die on a hill about this. He was more valuable than Jaylen Brown. I don't care.
You mean the Finals MVP?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, for sure.
Finals MVP, like that should have been Tatum's. It was just stupid, and the award is stupid in itself. Like Iguodala won it over Steph Curry. Like, again, don't at me about this. Like, it's nonsense, you know.
LeBron should have won it that year. Anyway,
sure, anyone but Iguodala. I don't care. Draymond, right? Don't fuss me. Yeah. Anyway, back to Tatum. I really think that this guy is appropriately priced, and I think that's also why I put him in the middle of my my top 10.
Yeah.
To do I think moving forward in the episodes, we just keep going back to Tatum.
Well,
is it above Tatum?
It's interesting.
Is it below Tatum?
It's interesting you mentioned Tatum because I've got the card ladder info up on the screen at the moment.
Yeah,
and everyone can see the 12-month thing. There's a lot of movement, but it sits between 700 and 900. Like this guy is clockwork.
It's very consistent, isn't it? Up and down, yeah.
Like it's not a flat line, but it's consistently in that spot.
But he's also down 10% in the last 12 months. Like for me, I find the logic on this card quite hard to sort of get my head around. Yep. It's like, so
but that's 760. The last what it's down from is 850. You know what I mean? Like it's sitting in a spot. It's in a zone, and look, I think Tatum's good value at the moment.
Yeah. And appropriately priced too. I think now pricing. Not future priced. This is.
I think Tatum is at Tatum's current value. You're right. You're right. It's good. It's a good, measuring stick for the present. If you want to look at the future, we'll look at other people.
Number 6 and 7 is Thunder. I had to give them 2 spots here just because of how impressive they've been so far. So they're 6-0 this year. They've had a pretty solid opposition schedule.
I struggled to give this guy a spot, but you're right.
I just think the Thunder have been so good, man, and I think Chet is better than last year.
He is. And I think started earlier. It's still,
we're going to touch on this a little bit later, but I think I can mention this now. I think the rookie class is so bad this year that we actually have to go back and look at previous drafts and sort of see where the value is. So I think sort of keep that in mind for 2 seconds. So Chet this year versus Wemby. This is a really cool graph. This came from Clutch Points. 22 points for Chet, 16 for Wemby, 11 rebounds apiece there, 2 assists each there, 3.5 blocks for Chet, 2.8 for Wemby, 1.5 steals. I don't think that's right for Wemby. He's actually getting 1 steal a game. 58% from the floor for Chet, 40% for Wemby, 33% for Chet from 3, 19% for Wemby, and then 69 from the free throw line versus 90 for Wemby. So there's that's kind of a cool, again, small sample size, but still a really cool comparison there.
Early in the season, I guess. Yeah.
Chet on card letter though is not low. He's actually a lot higher than probably what you'd expect. Last sold for 360, population count a little bit less than Tatum. It's at 587. Yeah,
not a lot, but he's up over the last 12 months.
We have to give SGA some flowers here, of course. So let's just really quickly talk about SGA. 672. So again, less than Tatum. 610 is his sold price. So again, less than Tatum. I think it's such a good measuring stick ad.
You're right. You're very right, though. He's up, but that 600 part. I think we've talked about where SGA should be, and I think 600 was where I was sitting on it.
He deserves to be up, but I sort of feel like this is too high for him, considering he hasn't won a championship. He hasn't done all these other things that Tatum's done.
Does that mean Lucas should be a $600 card?
No, Lucas got a lot more pedigree than frankly both of those guys. But
pedigree. Yeah. How many championships? How many MVPs?
Oh man, he's just
I'm
so
not
good.
I'm not gonna ride that old chestnut. I haven't got him in my top 20 at the moment. So
he's just so good. Look, this next one's a stretch at 8. I've got Darius Garland, but the Cavs are 7-0, and I haven't watched a lot of Cavs this year. I've mostly I've been watching just highlights basically of them, but they look good. They look consistent. They look like a team that have been together. I don't think so. I think just the whole team is just really good together. But
Yeah,
I just like Garland probably the most hobby wise.
that's fair.
Last sold at $48. I think there's some room to grow there.
Probably.
Population on this is high. It's double Tatum, double and a bit, 1,618.
Mm-hmm.
In the last 12 months, he's down 26%. So that's that. Alrighty. What I did for my last two picks, I actually looked at the fantasy stats for the year. So if I actually like to use that as sort of a measuring stick.
As a
I went with
gauge.
Anthony Davis. He was number 3 overall at the moment. So his numbers this year are just absolutely fantastic. 31 points a game, nearly 3 assists, 57% from the field, and I think his rebound numbers are like 12 a game. Yeah, so he's up to 12 a game this year.
Yeah.
That's insane. That is just, they're the numbers they've needed for him the last 2 years. He needs to pull his finger out and basically play better.
MVP level Anthony Davis? Is this what
if he keeps playing like that, he should be in the MVP conversation. I've got no problems with that.
Yeah.
Now, this gets really interesting. This is a really good one. Pop on this is 33, so a lot less than our friend Jason Tatum, but the price here is double that, 1,400. Look, I don't have a problem with this just for the fact, again, because of his pedigree. He was the number 1 pick. He's been in Team USA. He's got a championship. He's ticked a lot of boxes already.
Interesting. Look, he's down 10% over the last year. It's either up or down 10%. That's where it seems to be everywhere.
I think most things are going to be down, man. I think we need to start, actually thinking about how close are we to the bottom now. I think that's a bigger conversation.
There's a stabilized element to it. It hasn't tanked. It hasn't dropped 90%. 10% is a decline.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
My last one I tossed up between Cade Cunningham and LaMelo. I went with LaMelo just because they've had a tiny bit more success than the Pistons have had, but the Pistons are going to be a hot mess this year, so we kind of know where they're at. 355 this last sold for, population of that 405. Sorry, mate, I cut you off.
Is LaMelo, is this a hot start to the season? Is this something... everything I've seen highlights-wise of LaMelo Ball has been exciting.
I mean, we're picking at straws here. Like, the Hornets are 2-4 and the Pistons are 1-5. Like, whatever.
Yeah,
really
could play a bad team.
One game.
Sure.
Yeah, but I don't know. I thought LaMelo has looked pretty good so far.
I thought LaMelo's start was very noticeable.
And look, Cade's game has improved too. So I can't, this is, again, I'm really picking at straws here at number 10. But yeah, I just went with this. I thought it was a good one. So that's my top 10. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for entertaining me, Ad, and, letting me get through that.
Always.
And then let's go to a break and we'll come back and we're going to do your takeaways from the year so far, which I'm really looking forward to hearing.
Should be some fun.
Particularly after your episode last week, mate. It was great. Fast Break Trading Cards. Thank you so much for your support. FastBreakTradingCards.com is where you'll find the lads. They have got everything. Sports trading card, basketball, football, baseball, soccer, UFC, and wrestling. Fanatics Authentic. They are a true Phonetics Authentic supplier and reseller. Entertainment, TCG, Disney, Lorcana, Pokemon, One Piece, Star Wars, supplies, and that's what we're going to focus on this week. Check out their prices on supplies. Ultra Pro top loaders, packet of 25, $7. One touch is 35 points, $4.50. A 130 point Ultra Pro one touch, $6.50, and their penny sleeves are $2 for the Ultra Pro one. So you have to keep in mind here, Ultra Pro is the premium brand. Pricing on that is very, very competitive. If you would like to buy some Fanatics memorabilia, use the promo code YCCT10 for 10% off any of your Fanatics Authentic memorabilia. And thank you, Fast Break Trading Cards, for your ongoing love and support. Adam, we are back.
We are back.
I'm turning the keys over to you. Hit me, my friend.
Time for some takeaways.
Let's go.
I briefly touched on it last week. I've had some time. I've really I've got Jason Tatum as my number one. This man seems hungry.
Yeah.
He is ready for a big season. Yeah. It looks like the Celtics are going to have started where they left off last year, and they look scary. Like it was a 1 point loss.
They're a well-oiled machine. They've got a lot of continuity. They're going to be hungry again.
Jason Tatum's got a chip on his shoulder.
Yeah, they've got all the ammunition they need to like come back and be competitive this
Yeah.
year. So yeah.
Now these are my top 5 players. Noticing from the start of the season, not
So is this
necessarily
like your MVP ranking type thing? Is
probably
it, mate?
MV
Yeah,
like
sure.
the MVP picture.
Yeah.
Number 2, I've got Anthony Davis. I think
Cool.
he has started the year on fire. Number 3, and I'm sad to hear that he's injured, but I had Paolo. I had Banchero. It was if Orlando were to make big inroads this season, he's the one that's got to do it. He's got to take a step up and score. And that 50 piece was just like that. Oh my God, he can do it.
Yeah.
So
can I just
he's not too badly injured.
Can I just wedge in on that here?
Yeah,
so actually,
sure.
I did a little bit of research on this myself. So basically, he has got a torn right oblique. Okay. Now, the problem with this injury, I was reading up about it, is it's basically one of those things of like either it heals or it doesn't heal, and then you don't know what the timeline is, what it's going to be for. So it's one of those injuries of where there's often not a timeline that's set. I'm saying this in a very roundabout way. Yeah. Basically, he's going to be reevaluated in November, but they're saying that Christmas, maybe he'll be back. It just depends on how he responds to treatment. So, look, I think people were putting money into this guy, and I think for all the right reasons. I think everything for this guy was trending the right reasons. You spoke about it, the 50-point game that he had.
Yeah, and there's been it's that sort of, is it that year 3 sometime, like it's
that's right.
It's that point. It's this is the year that it's supposed to happen. So
I think there's going to be some very nervous flippers though at the moment. I think that's what I wanted to sort of add to this too, man. I think yeah, or rollers. There's some very nervous rollers,
rockers and rollers.
Yeah.
God. All right. So who was next on my lovely? Oh yeah, SGA. Thunder are obviously undefeated, and SGA is at the head of that. And now I'm gonna use a name that I haven't said in a very, very, very long time. Don't get your hopes up, Dallas fans, because it's not to do with you guys. Ja Morant is back at the helm in Memphis. They haven't started with a flawless record, but there are some very exciting signs from the Grizzlies this season, and I think Ja Morant is definitely a factor here, and he looks good. In my eyes, he looks good, and I think all those people holding Ja rookie cards, no cause for concern, I think would be the ultimate way to look at that. So
so the really interesting thing for me is like the running race between Ja and Zion seems to be over for me. I think Ja Morant has won the value between those two cards, which I would probably have not predicted. I didn't think that's how it was going to play out, but here we are. Yeah. In terms of pricing on this, so it's currently selling at $437. So let's call it 40% cheaper than what a Tatum is. Yes. Population on that though is 1,700. So there's 1,000 extra of these compared to a Tatum.
Yep. But it's actually held. That's, I have to admit, over the last 12 months, it is only down 2%.
Which, if you're holding him, is very reassuring, isn't it?
Given everything
depending where you jumped on the train, but
I mean, if you jumped in 2 years ago, you've done your toe, really, haven't you? But
so if you go back 2 years, you're down 63%.
Yep. So look, the last 12 months. So if you bought in this year, probably looking very it's looking rather positive.
Yep.
On a Ja Morant rookie. So that was my top 5 player wise, impact wise on the league. I've got a top 5 hobby watch.
Yeah.
And just, I mean, there's a bit of double up with what you've said. My number 1 hobby watch was LaMelo Ball. Very strong start to the season, as we've just discussed. And Cade Cunningham was the other, because it was interesting that you were actually torn on whether to select Cade or LaMelo. We might look him up and see. Is he on Card Ladder?
Definitely. Yeah, they both are. Yep.
Cade Cunningham, silver, not raw. We want a PSA 10. Last sold 263.
Really?
Yeah. So
I would say that's really down.
Down 20% over the last 12 months.
Yeah.
A lot of injuries, so a lot of concerns, I guess. It did start off a lot higher. So over the last couple of years, you'd be looking, you're down 70%.
Ugh.
But over the last year, you've only lost 20. My only concern with players like both of these, LaMelo and Cade, great player, ordinary team. How long does that keep happening before there's problems? Like, hobby value-wise.
Yeah,
You know, if
I
he's a
get why Cade
lifelong
is down.
Charlotte Hornet, is LaMelo Ball going to be worth anything?
Yeah, like I get why Cade is down. Like, don't get me wrong, but I'd also say too that he looks really good this year, and he's definitely come back better. So for me, it's more just like a matter of time until either that team gets better or he goes to a better team. Like, I'm actually not that stressed about it.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm more like, okay, so it's going down. How much more is it going to go down?
Yep.
And then how much better of a purchase has this become? Because I also think too his game is Luka light in that I think he's going to last. He's going to last in the league for a long time. He's not so much dependent on his athleticism. Like, he's very much a skilled,
cerebral type player.
Very much so. Whereas that's what I probably fear if we're doing like a direct comp with Jar. It's like,
oh, Jar's terrible because he's such physical and
like I get it. Like I get why people love him. Like, don't get me wrong, but yeah, man, he's risky. Like, it's just you're just waiting for him to break an ankle. Honestly,
that is that's a really good point.
Do your next one, man. Because I'm keen to talk about this one.
Number 3, I've got a couple of role players from the Golden State Warriors. I've got Kuminga and Buddy Hield.
Yeah.
Is there any value to be had here?
Look, Buddy Hield, no. But Kuminga, I think, is very intriguing. And also intriguing because there's some sort of scuttlebutt he's going to ask for a trade. He didn't get the contract extension. He's now coming off the bench. The Warriors are actually playing really well this year. So that also leads me to kind of think, is Kerr going to be not that keen to sort of, put him back into the lineup?
Yeah.
And actually, this year is kind of going to be a juicy year for trades, I think. Like,
you think stuff's going to happen?
Yeah, I think this year's going to be a banger, man, because the Jimmy Butler rumors has already happened. Like, the Bucks are off to a really bad start, and they spent a mozza on that team. They're paying like 4 coaches contracts at the same time already. Okay, I'm exaggerating, but like, it's also true.
Yeah.
And I kind of reckon Giannis is going to kick off. Like, the other thing about Giannis too, now, like we've segued onto this, he's a coach killer, man.
Oh, he is. There's no doubt. Like, it's
that blood is on his like little hands, honestly. Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Yeah, right.
I don't know.
Sorry, man.
I think Kuminga, it's interesting to see recent performances with Curry injured. Buddy seems to, I don't know.
I think
Buddy here will go through a bad shoot. He's a career 40% shooter, but I don't know. He has good and bad nights. He's a roller coaster.
I just think hobby-wise, Buddy, for me, is like not even on the radar. Whereas Kuminga, I'm more like, wait for him to bottom out and then pick him up on the cheap. I think that's how I'd approach that.
Okay.
I just think just how like the league is overall, where there is sort of a lot more opportunity at the moment. Like, you've got really good guys like Zion, all the way down. You've got Cade that's down. You've got Jar that's at a pretty good value. Like, Tatum is at current pricing. Like, he's not at future pricing.
Yeah, that's true.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, okay, do you really need to spend your money on Kuminga? Like, who cares? Like,
well, the question is, because there's such a big... There's such a lot of Warriors fans out there.
Sure.
Due to our lovely friend, Steph Curry, and the success that the Warriors dynasty
Buy a Steph Curry rookie then.
Sure, but I'm saying, with those fans, are they looking for the next buy? Are they looking for the next player in that team to invest in? And is Kuminga there? Is it? We want to get some of Curry's new splash buddy rather than now that his splash brother's gone.
Saying. Yeah. No, I really hope that that is not what plays out. To be honest, that would hurt my soul if that's what happens. Yeah.
But yeah, there might be. Who knows? Number 4. Great. And it's not because of the jersey swaps. I haven't seen a jersey swap this season. But I don't know. This could be an interesting year for Grady Dick. He's had a couple of big games. He's hit some big shots. I mean, it sucks he plays in Toronto because not many people care. But I don't know. It seems like this could be his little breakout. He could be the guy in Toronto. It's definitely not Jacob Poeltl.
Yeah, so I'm just going to, again, piggyback off this. And actually, this is something I was going to slide into the show later on. So let's just chuck it in now. Scotty Barnes has been diagnosed with a right orbital fracture. Barnes will be reevaluated in 3 weeks. Blah 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 blah. So yeah, as a
Yeah.
result of that, you've got guys like Grady Dick, you've got RJ Barrett, you've got quickly getting more minutes, more opportunity. So I think I would be very careful buying Grady Dick now, particularly when Scotty Barnes is out. I think
Opportunity.
once Scotty Barnes comes back, I think his minutes are going to dry up a little bit. In saying that, Silver PSA 10 Grady Dick sold for $80. That for me is like way future pricing. So
Yeah, that.
obviously there is some hobby love for this guy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a red to $2.99 that sold for like 60 or 70.
Man, I think that's really risky.
No, it's a color match red though.
Yeah, but
I know.
Grady Dick in Toronto. I think even if you look at that team, you got Quickly ahead of him. You've got RJ Barrett. You've got Scotty Barnes there.
It's true.
That's just on that team alone.
It's true.
Yeah.
I still want to get a shot with him and both the Ball brothers. Anyway.
We're just a highbrow show, aren't we?
We are. We're just like, it's low-hanging fruit there. I'm sorry. I had to.
Low-hanging.
Yeah. Lonzo and LaMelo.
Anyway, number 5. What do you got for
Number
me?
5, I have a question mark over Nikola Jokic.
Sure.
So my question is, if the Nuggets have an unsuccessful season, is this going to hurt his hobby value? I mean, I rag on Luka a lot about not winning, right? And not having MVPs. Granted, our lovely friend Nikola Jokic has has a championship and a few MVPs, right? However, the Nuggets haven't started strong. And this is going to go back to when the days when Jokic had to put the whole team on his back.
All right. I actually have an intelligent answer for you for this. All right.
Okay.
So what they've done in the last 12 months is they've changed the rules more in favor of less fouls in an attempt to have the game more free-flowing in more of a hybrid of FIBA and NBA. So it's not FIBA, you can smash someone, but it's also not the touch fouls that was creating the really high scores last year.
Okay.
And so the counter argument to that is the people that will suffer the most is people who don't have high levels of athleticism. So you think about someone like that, and that's the easy one, is it? Like that's the true low hanging fruit there.
Yeah.
So there's that's happened. So he's probably still getting used to it. He's maybe getting 1 or 2 free throws or 2 or 3 free throws less per game. And they're also integrating in Russell Westbrook, who is pretty much the opposite of what they need. He can't shoot. He can't spread the floor.
Yeah.
He needs the ball in his hands, which takes the ball out of Jokic's hands, which you might make an argument he's the best offensive player in the world. And then, let's be honest, Westbrook's shot selection isn't fantastic. And the thing about the Nuggets that made them so good was that they had this offensive machine that just ground out good shots for high 40s minutes per games, right? And so if you're sort of taking that away from them, which I think Westbrook is doing, like there's people online saying that Westbrook should retire. Like I think asking Westbrook to retire is a stretch, but it's also not that far away too.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at with them. So actually, I think he's still pretty young. I think the overall core in Denver is young. Like Murray's not over the hill. Michael Porter Jr. is still very young, but obviously he's got injury concerns.
True.
They've got a slew of young players sitting on that bench that actually are ready to play. And,
Okay,
Mike
so you think the
Malone.
depth is there? My biggest question is the depth.
If I can be honest with you, I think the thing that they're struggling with is like the post-championship hangover, plus these rule changes, plus integrating in Westbrook. I think Westbrook's a mistake. Either it wouldn't be past my mind that they cut him this year.
I don't. Yeah, apparently Jokic likes him.
Sure, but if you get to a point where he's plus minus is the worst in the league.
Yeah, but well, if Jokic no longer likes him, then that's the problem. That's fine, right? But I just imagine as long as Jokic likes him, Westbrook's in.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I worry with their depth, and I worry about this slow start. And
I don't think so.
I'm
think
not as
this
worried
team
about
is,
them as Milwaukee.
They could reboot this team.
Say Denver do have a terrible year. Does it hurt Jokic's legacy?
No,
if
I
they
think
don't get back to the NBA finals.
3 MVPs, 1 championship, and then they can reload this team and he can go deep
Try
in the
another
playoffs
one.
again.
Yeah. I mean, God, he's going to have to be MVP if they're going to be competitive, I think. Given early signs. I think they're showing that they're lacking that defender at where KCP was.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely he's a loss, yeah.
It's a massive
I mean, did you
loss.
see Braun dunk on Gobert, though?
That was pretty
sick.
funny. That was pretty funny.
That was a good dunk, man.
Anyone dunking over Gobert is entertaining.
Population on the rookie Nikola Jokic. PSA 10 is 174, so 1/6 of a Tatum. Price, though, was 2,500. Look, I've got no problem with this.
What happens when you win 3 MVPs?
Yeah, that's right. Plus the low pop.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to a break.
Let's do it.
Who is our last break today? It is going to be the Hobby Hangout.
The Hobby Hangout.
I think what's happened is my sheet just got a little bit mixed up, but that's okay. I can fix this up. Hobby Hangout. Now, off air, I was trying to tell you that the Hobby Hangout was today in Sydney, but it's not. The Hobby Hangout is in Sydney on the 1st of December at the Sydney Roundhouse.
So Trading Zone. They didn't miss it.
No, I didn't miss it either. Poker Zone, workshop, live breaks, panel, hosted by Matthew Payne. The huge amount of vendors is going to be there. Card Fever, One Stop Poker Shop, Icons of Sport. I'm just trying to read this off randomly. PCA Mart, the Corner Post, Debit Collectibles, Booster Bounty, and obviously more to be announced. Tickets at thehobbyhangout.com.au. I'm going to call out the Hobby Hangout boys at the same time while we're doing this. Guys, we need you to come onto the podcast.
Yeah,
come onto the podcast. Spread the word of your contributions to the hobby landscape. Now, Melbourne, we've also got one, which is the 17th of November. Adam and I will be there live podcasting. We're going to be on a table. We're going to have a trader's box. We've got some stickers.
Yeah.
We've got a fancy sign lined up. Maybe we're going to have a t-shirt.
Sign. Let's not go too far with fancy.
Did I say signs today? Or maybe we can just put a piece of paper with a sticker.
We've got a sign. We've got a sign.
Plural signs. Yeah.
Come up and let us know if you think it's fancy. How about that?
Trading Zone, workshop, live breaks, paneling, live podcast. Here we go. Card Hoppy, J Toys, The Traders, Newy Collectibles, Peter's Goat Collectibles, Big Three Cars and Supplies. Just doing these random. Boop Collectibles, Jake's Breaks, to show Social Club Collectors, back issue comics. That'll be cool. Tickets at thehobbyhangout.com.au. Thank you so much for your support, guys. We really, really appreciate it. Alrighty, Adam, we have gone long today, as we normally do.
That's not really a surprise.
Not really, is it? No. Anyway, all right. So this next one is about the 2024 rookie class progress so far.
Yes.
Do you know who is leading the rookies in points per game, Adam?
No, I do not. I know who's not leading. Neither of our top 2 draft picks, I can tell you that.
Yeah. So Bob Carrington
Who?
of the Washington Wizards is leading at the moment with 10.5 points per game. So I think that's kind of where we end the conversation here. I think, okay, we touch on Zach Edey at 4, Zachariah Orishisher at number 6, Alex Sarr, who was in Australia, at 7, Dalton Connect, your boy from the Lakers, at 7.7 points per game at number 8. And that's it. We end this conversation. It's done. I think what we emphasize, or what I want to emphasize to people, is start looking at last year's rookies.
I don't know. What about number 10? Jonathan Mogbo from the Raptors. What
do you want to say about him?
He got a nice big 20 piece. It was impressive.
Okay, fine. Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, I think he's got some potential. I like.
So he tripled his average against you. Is that what happened?
He did.
So that's like the Doc Rivers thing, where someone plays good against the Clippers. This is when he was the GM of the Clippers, and he'd go out and sign them. But they only had like one good game of the year, and that was against the Clippers. So just beware, all right, Ad. It's a small sample size here.
True.
All right. No, all seriously though, this draft class probably is going to stink. I think that's the best way to say it.
What about Zach Edey?
Yeah, that's fine. There's going to be some good guys in here. But what I'm trying to say is, like, this is also the time where last year's rookies drop off in price, and the year before it's dropped off even more. Like, the table's been set for 2 years ago.
I do like your thinking there.
Yeah, so to start, looking back 12 months, I know that's not popular. I know that's, like, not what people do in the hobby. Everyone wants, like, the new stuff. But I think this is the time, like, you can't turn.
Sorry,
I can't.
I'm looking at number 44 of the list. That's Bronny James on 0.7 points per game.
Look, I got nothing but love for Bronny James Jr., but yeah.
The 7 seconds he got against Toronto just upped
Buyer
his...
beware,
Yeah,
I say.
anyway.
Yeah. Anyway. Alrighty. Moving on. Jordan Hoops. High voltage from 1997. This is an insert from going back in the day.
Yes.
BGS 9 just sold for 15,600 USD. So if you have one of these in your drawer or your card boxes, send it off to
What
PSA
year was
Stat.
it?
1997.
Oh, no, I probably don't have that.
Population on this is 13. It's numbered to 500. So, look, I love this because Hoops is getting some love. It's as simple as that.
I love the idea that a Hoops card could net a lot of money.
Yeah, 100%. 1987 Fleer Tony Brown last sold for $3,850. Population on this is 16. Mm-hmm. Adam, who on earth just paid $3,850 for a Troy Brown?
Tony Brown.
So why? Why would someone do this?
Because they wanted to finish their set of 1987 Fleer.
Yeah. So you reckon this is a set collector's, and that's it?
I don't. Yeah, they're trying to finish their complete set of 1987 Fleer, and they in PSA 10, and this was it.
I just feel like some people have more money than me because I'm like, that
more dollars than cents.
That is a Nikola Jokic rookie plus a Tatum plus change.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, that's how I view.
Someone in the comments wrote, "Set collecting is very much alive."
Yeah. Jordan Poole check-in last sold for $55.
Jordan Poole?
Yeah.
No.
Remembering that it sold for $1,000 not that long ago. So
really?
Horror story.
I can't believe
Halloween story, I should say. Yeah.
Someone's trying to pump up the value. It's not true. Yeah, anyway.
Alrighty. So we haven't spoken about Mercury on this show pretty much at all. I feel like I've been staying away from this because I sort of wanted to let the dust settle. I wanted the influencers to do their thing.
Yeah.
If you don't know what Mercury is, it's a product from Topps. It's a high-end product that you would compare to, say, Flawless. And they were selling it at that Flawless price. So basically, it was selling for that sort of...
Yep.
I think it was originally selling for around 5, and then, it was resold for that sort of 6 to 7 sort of mark. But looking at comps on eBay today, it was selling for 9,300 and 8,900. So it's reselling very, very, very strong. I think the criticism around it is obviously around the non-authentic product that it is. So it doesn't have NBA logos on it. Doesn't have the NBA uniforms. Yep. It's got all that weird photography. It does have game-worn memorabilia in it, which is an interesting little wrinkle. And it also has on-card autographs in it. But I think what's a little bit upside down is the post after-sale pricing of singles. So, for example, this is from Topps Mercury. 23-24, a Wemby numbered 91 out of 99. That sold for 862. That's obviously raw. Then comparing that with the Topps Now card, which is something that they just put up onto their website.
Yeah.
That's PSA 9. That sold for 2,800. So, like, clearly there's something wrong when your premium product is selling for 3 times less than what a Topps Now card is. Like, that's, like, for me, that's absolutely, that's out there.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's a social media post that, again, it's a very small sample size. So I went out and found a couple of other comps. So we've got 17 out of 50 game-used patch and an on-card autograph that sold for 3,965.
Yeah.
Number to 75 sticker auto that sold for $1,000. So
yeah.
I think that's really tough. Like, if you're spending 9,000 US on a box and you're not getting a single Wemby, the resale of the other stuff, hasn't been like great. I think that's like pretty fair to say. So
I just think
for me, this is
they're
really
pushing it too much.
It's really interesting, isn't it? I feel like was this their opportunity to sell it for $2,000 and then people got really good value out of it, or is their viewpoint if we sell it for 2,000, the flippers are going to sell it for 4,000?
The flippers are going to sell it for 5,000,
and then they make 3 and we make 1, and they didn't want that. Correct. And that was always their business model, wasn't it?
Yeah, they don't want the flippers to be getting away with it.
Where are you at with Mercury? Like, do you have any comment? Do you have any observations? Like, I'm trying to set you up here a little bit.
It's their first attempt at a product. I get that.
High-end product. Yeah.
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 Look, they need to capitalize as much as they can. I understand what they're doing because it's Wemby.
Yeah.
Right? They may never get another Wemby. So this is
That's a scary product. Thought, but okay.
Yeah. No, but we might not. It might not be this crazy. Do you know what I mean? Like this guy.
Yeah. No, I get what you're saying. I never thought of that. It's scary when you say that.
The idea is, the cards aren't worth anything now. Sorry, they're worth something, but the relativity is not there. In a decade, when no one can get the product, and Wemby's 9-time Defensive Player of the Year, 4-time MVP. I don't know. The Spurs dynasty is rolling. Are these boxes worth money? Sealed? Do these cards go for $20,000-$30,000?
I really don't know, man.
But I think that's the unknown. There is where the value is.
I just think traditionally...
It's a hell of a gamble, though.
Non-authentic or unauthentic stuff just hasn't really been that well considered within the hobby.
Agreed. And the biggest problem is fanatics don't get it until after Wemby's not a rookie.
Mm.
Lo and behold, people will be like, what do you do? What rookie year stuff are people clambering to get in 10 years when Wemby's the new LeBron? You know what I mean? Like, it's like, this guy's going to break LeBron's records. He's going to do this. He's going to do that. Like, what are you chasing? All right, so my question to you, what are you chasing in Wemby wise that you would be like, I want to sit on this? This is...
Yeah. So I think for me, buying the sealed product is very problematic. I think for the price point.
Yep.
For what you potentially be getting out of it. So that for me, I'm not going near that. Like, it's just not in my wheelhouse.
But all of it's year one rookie level Wemby, and it's the autographs are licensed.
Singles. So for example, that patch autograph that I touched on that sold for $3.9.
$3.9. Yep.
Look, aesthetically, I thought it was okay.
Yeah.
It was authentic, like a game used patch. So like that for me is a big deal. Like that's a little bit problematic for me, particularly now with Panini. I think the assumption for me was, it was COVID. That's why they couldn't do game worn memorabilia for rookies, all that type of stuff. I gave them all of the excuses, but we're now through that. And they still haven't fixed that.
Of course not.
Even in higher, I'm using air quotes, higher end products like iMac, even NT, like they had stickers in NT last year.
Yeah.
Like that kind of leaves a bad taste in your mouth too.
I think that's atrocious, to be honest, but
yeah. Flawless is different. I think they've got that down and that's sorted out. That's not a conversation, but where am I going with this?
Why isn't iMac up there with Flawless then?
I don't know. Obviously, they made a decision that just the money's not there for them.
Yeah.
Whereas with this, I kind of feel a little bit different. I feel like what's appealing to me is obviously the after sale. I think that's really good, but what I'm sort of in my head now is, okay, where does this go in 5 years? So does this initial offering that hasn't been that fantastic, does that affect people's future considerations of the product? Or is it one of those things of like, it doesn't really matter what we turn out to collectors. They will find something in it that's collectible.
Yeah.
And I probably think, like, being realistic about the whole situation, I actually wonder if that's how it's going to be, because I think whether we like it or not, there's a lot of people in the hobby that don't really like Panini, and they're actually glad that they're going. And there's also an element of people in the hobby that can't wait for Topps to come back, because that's the thing that they remember from when they were a kid, and that's the thing where all their like sort of
in
warm,
3 years when everyone's like, bring back Panini. Yeah.
Whereas for me, I have to admit, I'm probably more. Well, my stance has always been I'm just going to judge it as the ball lies. I'll give crap to Panini, but also give them a lot of like kudos too. And
yeah, credit where credit's
Topps
due.
have done some good stuff. Like the Topps Now Olympics, like that's genius, man. And Panini dropped the ball on that. They should have been doing that for the last 10 years. Yeah. But this like Mercury, I don't know. I think to be honest, my real problem is the price point.
I feel like the Mercury was a desperate lunge to capitalize on the Wemby market. Simple as that.
But like they've been talking about this whole thing about going direct to consumers, but you can't actually buy it direct. So if you go onto the website and try and buy a box, you can't buy a box. You have to go into some like ballot thing.
Yeah.
And I think that's the part where I also feel a bit frustrated. I feel like all the things they said that Panini have done, like, oh, that's dirty business. They're just ripping people off. Well, actually, they've just
started that.
They've just taken that leaf right out of Panini's book and like rolled out this like unlicensed product. So that's probably like where I'm the most like, not happy about. Probably that's the best way to say it. But look, the product itself, I don't think it's as bad as probably what people are saying, to be perfectly honest with you. Like particularly the on-card auto stuff, I think that looks pretty good. So all right, let's end it on a positive note. What positive thing have you got to say before we leave today?
What positive thing?
Yeah. It's what have you enjoyed about the season so far, or something like that? Yeah.
Well, the Lakers are winning. No, basketball's good. It's just nice to have the season back. A lot of injured players are coming back healthy.
Yeah.
And it's great. It's great to see Zion back and healthy. It's great to see Ja Morant balling out. It's great to see LaMelo Ball tearing it up. It's
for sure.
Nearly everybody's got a win, minus the Utah Jazz still, but they'll get there. But and props to the Cavs for being undefeated. It's pretty good. And
I think, I would say the same as you. I think the basketball quality's been good so far. The refereeing has been much better. Yeah. And my final takeaway is that Doc Rivers is going to be the first coach to be fired this year.
And
somehow
agree.
That makes me happy. Yeah. That's just my shading for it. Thank you, Adam, for a lovely evening. I really appreciate it. I'm so glad to see you again. And thank you so much again for your great work covering for me last week. Central Coast Radio. Tune in to centralcoastradio.com. You'll hear us 10 a.m. till midday.
Thursdays?
On Thursdays, Tuesday night, 11 p.m. to 1 a.m. Melbourne time, and then Saturday night, 3 a.m. Melbourne time to 5 a.m.
I was almost up this week for it.
I wasn't. I probably would have been asleep. But we're trying to tap into the US market, so that's why we're on it that time then. Yeah. So